we are here to have an introduction to Pathways. And I would like to keep it as simple as possible and as fun as possible, because Pathways, in my opinion, is the most fun you can have online right now, because it allows you to develop your personal skills, but on top of that, it allows you to be online. And the reason for that is because we are moving in the digital age, and flexible is always better. And Toastmasters is one of those groups that want you to be adaptive as opposed to restrictive, hence Pathways. But I do understand that there are some issues, and that is why I'm here, to assist you as much as possible. I'd like to ask Anka just to put up the poll that we have prepared for tonight, just so that I have a better sense of the audience that I'm in. You'll see there, how long have you been in Toastmasters, so that I have a better sense of where you are in terms of years, because the older Toastmasters are more inclined to educationals and to the older manual as opposed to Pathways. Have you done your Pathways assessment? That I will explain later on. And last but not least, of course, I want to know, oh, not last but not least, have you delivered your icebreaker? And the reason for that is to see, have you actually started your very first speech? And last but not least is, have you completed level 1? I'll give everybody a sec or two, just so that they can kind of tell me where they are. So
maybe another 30 seconds. 64% of the attendees have voted.
Great. Ooh, you guys are fast. I feel like I'm gonna be running through these things. Anka, are we sitting?
Are you happy that I end the poll now? We've got 78% that have voted.
Now, 78% is more than.
I noticed that there's more people joining the call, so just let me know if I think we can launch it again later if you want to. All right. But
Okay.
I'm going to end the polling for now.
Fantastic. Just for time.
And may I share the results?
Yes, please. Ooh. So most of you guys are less than a year here. So that means you are more inclined to Pathways as opposed to the old manuals. Secondly, you have done your assessments. Fantastic. And you've done, but have not marked the, okay. So you have done your icebreakers, but it hasn't been recognized yet. Another problem that I come across as VPE. And last but not least, you have not completed your level 1s. Okay, so based off those simple facts, I have a really good sense of where everybody is. So tonight, we're going to have a short and sweet session. The 3 objectives that I'd like to be able to achieve is, firstly, getting started. But because most of you have actually done the pathway assessment, I don't think the issue is getting started as opposed to moving on from getting started. Most of you guys are stuck on the starting and completing, and that's a very admin heavy task. So I will be able to assist you with that. And last but not least, I will give you a sample of a path so you can see what the whole process will look like at the end. Because you guys have been here for less, or most of you guys have been here for less than a year, I don't think I actually have to explain to you what Pathways is. But for the convenience of knowing, Pathways is an online program. And how it works is you have 5 levels. So you start with your assessment. Your assessment gives you a path. Each path has 5 levels to it. I will be handing out the slides to everybody who does attend, and so that you will be able to kind of dive into this information because it is content heavy. So just for convenience, I will just simplify it as you have your path. Your path has 5 levels to it. Your 5 levels have competencies attached to them. So the first is public speaking. Second is interpersonal skills or interpersonal communication. Third is strategic leadership. Fourth is management skills. And fifth is just around building confidence up around everything that you have learned. The process through the 5 levels is you must get content, develop the content, and be able to apply the content. And as most of you would have noticed, or as most of you would have been exposed to, there are 11 paths. And depending on which type of path you have chosen, you will get specific projects attached to it. In level 1, there are exactly the same projects. First, being your icebreaker. Secondly, you will have your, sorry, I'm a bit, so my Zoom master is saying that I should try and make the screen a bit bigger. I do not know how to make it bigger.
No, don't worry about that. It was one of the attendees asked for that. I explained that it is as big as it can be, and they seem to have sorted out their own settings. Cool.
Okay. Good. All right. By the way, your chats do come to me, so I kind of like the interaction. So please do interact with me, and as the Zoom master said, there is a chat box there. So as I said, there are 11 paths, and your paths have 5 levels to them. And as I said, in level 1, it's the simplest because you have your first project, icebreaker, your second project, which is your getting and receiving feedback, which is called your first speech and your second speech. And those are intended for you to learn how to give a speech, get feedback, and be able to apply the feedback. And your third and last project is your research and presenting project. So now, I have given you so much information, but of course, how do you get started? What do you do now? You know what a path is. You know you've got projects attached to those paths. So what? My laptop does misbehave itself, so do please forgive me when it does misbehave. But I would like you guys to actually go step by step with me. So as most of you have actually done the pathway assessment, you will see this. This is your home page, and this will be your friend forever and ever. Amen. Until you finish at Toastmasters, because this is all right. While we're waiting for my mischievous laptop to behave itself, what are the biggest problems you have? Just a few people to comment on this. what are the biggest problems you have with actually getting started with your path? What is it? Is it the project, or is it necessarily network issues, or is it more directed at just understanding where to go? Where exactly am I supposed to go? I'll give it a sec. Just put it on your chat box. What exactly are your biggest problems? Not knowing how to navigate.
As for the slideshow, while we wait for them to answer, Linda, as for the slideshow, try and look at the top left of your window. There's some buttons there, like the save button. Just a bit to the right of the save button is one that looks like a little stand with a play button inside it. And check if you can click on that, and if that brings up your slideshow here. Yeah, so what we're seeing right now is PowerPoint. We're seeing your first slide that says navigating pathways, but we can see it in PowerPoint.
Okay, all right. Thank you to Zoom Master. Can you see what I'm sharing now?
Yes, indeed. The website, yeah?
Okay.
Cool.
Which part's taken how? Okay. So what I see here is most people have an issue with actually navigating. Where must I go? So first and foremost, where should you go to get to your projects? You have here the home page, and you need to log in, as I was attempting to do. So once you've logged in, the only way you'll know if you've logged in is if you see here, welcome, whoever your name is. In my case, it's Lindo Buhle. So welcome, Lindo Buhle. And then that's step number one, you log in. Step number two is, as you will recall, you went to education to get to your path, right? But this time, because you have a path, you need to go to pathways, and you need to go to bootcamp. So pathways, as you see here, then go to bootcamp. And you will see there, it will land you onto the pathways homepage. Once you've landed there, go to bootcamp. So you'll see three options here. Choose your path, access your path through bootcamp, and lastly, the navigator. The navigator is essentially a manual on on everything we're doing today. How do you navigate through Toastmasters, or how do you navigate through pathways? You've got the option of getting the manual, but because you are here, you don't necessarily need the manual. So you go to Basecamp. And it will land you on the Pathways homepage, right? So you see Toastmasters Pathways Learning Experience. Is everybody with me in terms of how did I get to the Basecamp landing page? Is everyone okay with that part? Just the thumbs up is fantastic for me. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Did I go too fast? Okay. All right, so I am assuming that everybody is okay with getting to Pathways landing page. So now you have three ways to get to your project. So you can either come up here, Paths and Learning, or you can come here, Paths and Learning, or the simplest way, in all honesty, is here, path, and learning. And here, the reason why I say it's simple is because you have all your information right in front of you. Your curriculum, which is in our terms, path. And there we go. You should be able to land on your last opened project or your last level project. Just in case you think that I'm lying to you, you've also got the option of coming up here. Same thing. And also up here, same thing. Paths and learning is where all your educational information is. So now, because I've chosen this route of getting to my projects, you will have your curriculum here, open curriculum, and it should land you in the exact same page that I had shown you when you had gone down to the shortcut tabs. So shortcut tabs are there so that you don't have to use multiple routes to get to the exact same place. So most of you guys haven't completed your level 1s. So here is your 3 projects in level 1. Your icebreaker, your evaluation and feedback, and your researching and presenting projects. Now, the biggest problem that I had when I started Pathways was figuring out which is which, because all of them are available to open, all of them are able to be launched. And when you launch a project, as a VPE, they recognize it as you are starting a project. So how you do it is you work with your VPE, and the first time you actually open Pathways, it's advisable that you actually do it with your VPE as opposed to doing it alone at home. You will see 3 things before starting a project. You will see, first and foremost, the project itself, the project name. How you know you haven't started the project is if you have here no tick, and here it says it doesn't show anything, it doesn't show that it's completed. So you will see here, it still allows me to launch. But the difference being that there is no tick and it doesn't say you may evaluate the project. Actually, let me slow down a bit because I think this is the most important part of Pathways. Understanding how to start and complete a project. Because you will have 1,000 projects under your belt, and yet under Pathways, you would have done none. So step by step, your icebreaker. You launch your icebreaker. If it does not automatically go to the project page, it means one of 3 things has happened. Number 1, you have enabled your pop-up blocker. Enabling your pop-up blocker does not allow this to pop up because it is a pop-up program. It will not be enabled. 2, you have network issues. And network issues are things that are inevitable. So just restart it again and it should be able to take you to the landing page. 3, your program might and this is a device issue where you have a program that is so behind that it lags a bit, but that's virtually impossible with most devices nowadays. So firstly, it could be you enabled your pop-up blocker. Secondly, you have network issues. And last but not least, your device is behind. So now we are on the very first page. And the very first page is your navigation. All your projects will have something called an introduction, and that's just so that you understand what the project is about and what skills you will learn and what's the logic behind it. So, tips and tricks. This is an interactive program, and through the program, you will get these little pop-ups. Do not get nervous, but do use the pop-ups when they do come up. You'll also have your shortcut tabs, which are these tabs over here. These are so that you can move from one point to the next or one section to the next without actually having to use the arrows here. Depending on how tech savvy you are, it's all about preference. If you prefer using the arrows, use them. If you prefer using the shortcut tabs, use them as well. And you will be taken step by step on your project. All projects have one thing in common, and that is it has an assessment, your educational material, and a after project assessment. I have done my icebreaker, so it will look a bit funny in this case, but essentially you will have your assess your skills before. This is before you actually do the project. And this is to see your comfort level, your experience level, and essentially what you will learn at the end. Do you understand the implication of what you're doing? Personally, I was not exactly the most confident person because I do have a bit of an issue where my brain processes information much faster than I will be able to communicate. Halfway through something, I will say something and my mouth sometimes will not be able to communicate very well. So once I speak to someone, I'm at sentence number 10 as opposed to the person who's listening to sentence number 1. It is a advantage and disadvantage because I process information much faster, but I had a very low confidence in speaking in front of people. It's not showing all the questions there, but the very last question will be, do you understand what this project, or do you understand how this project applies to you outside of Toastmasters? 1 being, no, not really, and 5 being, yes, I completely understand what it means. And that's a very important question because you need to be able to apply what you have learned outside of Toastmasters. It doesn't help if you are an excellent speaker in your club, but do not necessarily have the confidence to speak outside. One of the questions that I'm seeing here is, where do we find the code for activities? For example, L1 to C. Okay, so in Toastmasters, we do have a tendency of using acronyms for things. L1 means level 1. So L is level, and C2 in this case is the project itself. So L1, C2 would mean level 1, project 2 number 3 or section 3. You won't find it on the platform itself because it will have the project itself. So level 1, project 1 or P1, project 2, P2, and it's divided into 2 sections. So L1 to A, L2 B. That is how the coding works. I will give a list of all the little acronyms and terminology we use, just so that everybody is left at ease at the end of this specific section or session. Moving right along. Another question is, what is VPE? VPE is Vice President of Education. Again, an acronym or terminology. And a Vice President of Education is in charge of educational material and essentially ensuring that members develop at a acceptable level to themselves, not to the organization itself. Your Vice President of Education is going to be the most helpful person you can get because they will assist you step by step, and you can ask them one-on-one more questions than you can ask in a group setting. It's more of an intimate situation with your Vice President of Education. Cool. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Are we happy so far? Okay. All right. So after you have done your assessment before the project, you will be taken to competencies, and competencies are similar to outcomes. Video navigations are similar to moments like this, where you are able to interact via video. Some individuals are visual learners as opposed to practical learners, and also to readers, people who read to learn. So they take different learning strategies to be able to assist those people or to accommodate more people. All right. Next up, you and your goals. Here you will find your extra links. So links to your worksheets, links to your project. Side note. At the end, you'll find things called your evaluation. And this is where you'll find Print My Project. Print My Project gives you an entirety of what your project is. So from start to end, this is where you will get it. So everything that I cover here, for those who have not done their icebreaker, just go to Print My Project and you will be able to get the entirety of your project in one place. So here we go. And it makes it easier, but for people to tick off and track progress when they have printed their project. Okay, so thus far I have gone through a lot of information. Does everybody understand how to launch a project? So does everyone understand what is launching a project, and essentially what is important for them, or what steps they should take to be able to start a speech? Not necessarily finish the project, but start a speech. So I see a question here saying, do you have to print or is there a saving option? So yes, there is a save option. Let me check up here. So you can either print or save. Both options are there. Next question is, sorry. Next question is there any active training on pathways, or do you have to present the speech as well? Lynette, do you mind elaborating on that specific question, because that is a bit of a confusing question, but I'll try my best to explain.
Are you talking to this Lynette?
The one who asked if...
I think it's this Lynette.
I didn't ask a question and I wasn't listening. I'm in the wrong meeting. I'm looking for the Zoom security meeting. This is the Pathways training meeting.
Yeah.
So I'm leaving. Thanks then. Bye.
Okay, thanks. Not a problem at all. Okay, Lynette.
I was saying that when I did my my icebreaker, I was actually looking for like some sort of guidance on like, am I speaking, like how should I use hands? Is there any like training thing in the Pathways to help you with that? Or is it only after you get feedback?
So, out of not sounding a bit coy or out of not trying to sound funny, but things like your hands, you usually get that on the Toastmasters additional material. If you want help with that, I could personally help you with that, but those are things that your Vice President of Education would have kind of gone through to assist you step by step on how you should present. Or also your Vice President of Membership can also help you with that. Before you start your speech, you will ask your exco to schedule your meeting for you, and they will tell you what steps are necessary. I hope that answers your question, does it?
Yes, thank you.
Linda Courtland, may I interject here? For Lynette, I would ask your VPE to assign you a mentor. Ask for a mentor who will be able to guide you on these things, even if it's a mentor outside your club in another club that'll be able to help you with these and that you can practice your speech on, and then they can help you with your body language, with your hand gestures and your facial expressions. So I would definitely ask for a mentor.
Thank you, Barbara. Thanks a lot. I don't act like I don't pretend like I know it all. So that was a great piece of information. I didn't know that you could get a mentor from another club to assist you with that in particular. So thanks a lot. Another question that I got is, how do we choose our path? How are they different? And that would require me to get a step back. Could this particular individual, if you don't mind, staying behind afterwards, and so I can help you with that specific question of how do you choose a path and how are they different? Okay. So, print your project. Now, you followed all the steps you've went through, and now it's time for you to do your speech. As said, you do schedule your speech with your VPE, and afterwards you get feedback. As we say in Rosebank, and I'm pretty sure most Toastmasters, feedback is the breakfast of champions. And we do not evaluate the person, we evaluate the speech. So afterwards, you have to evaluate your performance. Remember, you assessed your performance before you did the project and before you did your speech. Now you have to move on and evaluate your performance after you did your speech. And that is after your speech. The assessment after your speech. Now you have completed your assessment. Fantastic. So now what? You've got your evaluation form. You've done your speech. You've assessed yourself before and after your speech. Now what? How do you recognize that you've actually finished your project? Well, 3 things have to happen for you to have been declared complete. First and foremost, you would have gotten this, your feedback. Second, you will get a congratulations. Congratulations, you have completed this project and are ready to advance to the next one. Sorry, just doing some special things today. So now you will get something like, I'm gonna open an actual project that I've recently done so that you can see exactly what needs to happen as opposed to me gargling a whole bunch of theory at you. Right. Don't know why you are slow today. So first and foremost, you will get a tick there on the project that says you have completed the project on the system. Next, you will be expected to evaluate the project. So that's step number 2. As you see there, step number 3, you will have to save your evaluation form on the Toastmasters International system. So you'll have to go back to the home page and you'll see there it says speech evaluations. So here's the first option. Here's the second one. And you can also look up, okay, that's a very complicated way. So the first one is speech evaluations or my documents, as you see down here. And here is where you save all your evaluations for your 5 levels to be able to justify or to verify that you have actually completed these tasks and actually have been evaluated by someone and you have done what you said you've done. Trick is, once you have got your evaluation form uploaded 2 or 3 days afterwards, and on the same day that you upload your evaluation form, evaluate the project so that it's still fresh in your mind. Also, try and get the person who evaluated you to give you your form within the week, because I don't know about you guys, but with me, when someone takes too long to give me feedback, I think that there's something that they're trying to do and it may not be an honest evaluation of what I did. And sometimes I forget what I did, what points should I improve on, what points shouldn't I not improve on. So if someone gives it to me 3 weeks later, I may have already applied my own information to the evaluation already. So try and get the person to assist you as soon as possible.
Linda, I noticed there's a couple of hands up in the audience. There's Percival and Barbara.
Okay, I'll start with Percival and then I'll go to Barbara. So, may you please unmute yourself?
Okay. Well, good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I'm Pesima Bizela. I just joined the meeting quite late, and I think I missed out on a few important parts. So I would like to find something out. I've only done 2 speeches so far, and I assume I am on level 1. So if the host or our facilitator could kindly just rephrase all the sections that you started with in this discussion, and yeah, just level with me around where am I supposed to be.
Tracy, I'm just going to ask if I can provide the recording for this meeting afterwards to everyone who did register for it. You'll be able to catch up on what's happened prior.
Yes, even that would still be suitable. I will just access the recording a little later then.
Okay. All right. Barbara?
Sorry, Linda Kuhle, I put my hand up and then I pulled it down. I'm sorry. My apologies.
I see Brighton has his hand up as well.
Okay, Brighton?
Hi, sorry, trying to unmute myself there. If I get you right, there's an evaluation form. So somebody sits and listens to my speech, evaluates me, and I must insist, which I missed, I must insist they give me the evaluation form. So I probably will have to do it again. Then I'm sort of getting the picture that I need to do some other evaluation over and above the evaluator's form.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes. So with starting and completing a project, there are 3 main steps that you need to do for the system to recognize that it has been completed. First, you need to have completed all the steps within. So you launch your project and you do all the steps, correct? Then it will say, congratulations, you have completed the project. Fantastic. Secondly, it will give you your evaluate the project. I'll go back to that right now. And that means that you have to evaluate the project, right? So first part, you're evaluating yourself. Secondly, you're evaluating whether the project was useful or not. And lastly, you will get your blue tick, right? If those 3 things happen, it means that it has recognized that you are done. Then you take the evaluation form and you put it in to that little folder that I showed you so that it is saved. You'll see that it saves according to your level. So I'm going to go back there. My documents, and you'll see there. All your projects are there. And then after all that, it will recognize that you have completed your project. And after you've completed said project in a level, it will give you right at the bottom, the option that you must get your level authorized. So you're saying to the system that I have done all my projects and I qualify to be a level 1, or I qualify to be a level 2 because I've done all the projects in level 2. Now I am a level 2 visionary communicator. It will get authorized by either your VPE, your VPM, Vice President of Membership, or your President. And you'll get a level 3 completion certificate. Are we okay so far? Anka, please help me if you, I can't really see a lot of people on my side, so you can see anyone.
See some thumbs up.
Fantastic. Okay, so just to see, does everybody understand how to get started? So where should they go to start their part? Does everyone understand that part? Yes, no, maybe.
Thumbs are up.
Okay. Does everybody understand how to start and complete a project?
See, Brighton's got his hand up.
Okay, Brighton?
I thought that was a thumbs up. I think that's a historical hand. Let me see if I can drop it.
I've removed it. All good.
Okay. Okay. So I think we're okay so far. We're safe. I did promise that I will give you the slides. Just a side note, when you do get the slides, it's just an overview of, or it's just videos of what I've spoken about. Just so that you can follow step by step via the videos as opposed to getting a lot of theory. And it may be a couple of old versions. I haven't seemed to get the newer versions for the videos. So as soon as I get the new versions of the videos, I will try my best to distribute those to the various individuals that did attend tonight. One more side note. Whatever issues you do have with the videos, do communicate them within time so that we can try and fix them as fast as possible. And have fun. Have as much fun as you can, because this is a really fun process, and ask for help wherever you can. I would like to open the floor now to questions. So anybody have any questions? No questions?
Now Brighton's hand's up.
That's a proper hand up. That's a proper hand up. A quick one, just to summarize. I'm getting the sense that this is very organized and coordinated. You can't just rush off on your own. So your VPE, your VPM, and your president must sign off before you get any certification. Before we even get there, my evaluator must give me my form so that I file it. I must also do some form of evaluation of that particular project that I've actually done. And yeah, I've worked backwards. I should have worked the other way around. And I saw in your folders, you actually had your speeches. So do you type them out and actually save them as saved speeches that you then file away?
Okay, so let's actually go through, So let's actually go through how to save the various types of projects. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to use my little friend here. So let's say my icebreaker, all of them are saved under here, right? So let's go back to that. Speech evaluations. here are all the evaluation resources. So here are all your evaluation forms. When you get to evaluation, you will have it there already. But should you just so happen that it's a 10-second thing, the person wants your evaluation form now, you've got the option of coming here and looking for it. So continue to see icebreaker here. Okay, let me see what I can see. Introduction to. Okay, so here we go. Here's your evaluation form, Linda. Linda evaluated by Anka, the date and all of that. Fantastic. Now you've saved it. You saved it in your desktop. Evaluation resource. 9 out of 10 is you're going to get only the code and not the actual evaluation as an introduction to Toastmasters mentoring. So now I need to save it. And I don't know where exactly to save it, right? You can, if you want, just add it as is. They will still see it, but you can also type it out. I do have a lot of things on my laptop. Or if anybody could just, if there is an easier way, I really don't know if there is an easier way to do it.
If I may, from my side, when the question was just asked if you could upload your actual speech into that folder, it just gave me an aha moment, like that makes so much sense, because I do file my own speeches in my own personal folders. But if you had your speech at hand in the level where you did it, there's no reason why you couldn't.
Yeah, I really don't know if you can really, because I got it like this. I just saved the projects as is. These are all my evaluation forms, but I don't know if there is a way that they'll save it. There's a way to save it other than retyping it, that this is my second speech or this is my icebreaker. I don't know if there is a way to just upload it and save it in a specific way without having to type it out manually.
Sorry, Linda, if I can. So in other words, it's not mandatory to actually save those actual speeches. It would be nice to, but it's not mandatory. So when I read second speech, I presume that was your actual second speech. So that's probably an evaluation of your second speech.
Yeah, so these are all evaluations. You don't necessarily have to take the speech and save it onto the, but it is a nice to have.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, thanks, Linda.
Okay, thank you.
Linda, I would click on add file because as an evaluator, because with the distance, I would type the evaluation, email it to the speaker, who can then upload it into that file by just clicking on add a file, and there they'll be able to select a file from their desktop or from wherever they have saved it. So you can save both your speech and your evaluation.
Oh, thanks, Barbara. I didn't actually think of that. Okay. So there's no rule against saving both your speech and evaluation on the system, right?
Nope, it's your path, it's your projects, you do with what it's as you please. And it's also nice sometimes if you give that speech again to compare the evaluation that you get on the second time. You're able to check your improvements and how you've adjusted and what have you learnt and how have you applied your learnings.
Oh, that's great. Aha moments. Any other questions? I don't see Any other
Yes,
questions?
Lindo. I think the questions I have, they're going to be answered once I see the entire video of this discussion or of this presentation. But it is just, I'm very enthusiastic about these pathways. So I would just like to find out how many pathways there are.
So,
and when exactly does one get to choose a pathway? Because I've done 2 speeches so far, so I'm not sure whether those speeches, they actually fall within a certain pathway, or those speeches, they were icebreakers only at this stage. So I would just like to ask them that.
okay, so that is an actual interesting question. So most people, when they start out, actually don't know where they are, right? And simplified is when you open your path, okay? Or when you open, so let me go back a bit. Let's say you haven't even chosen a path in the first place, right? So I've gone as far as you have selected a path, you have done everything in the world and more, okay? So let's say it's the very first time you even go onto Pathways and you have no clue what you're doing. I logged in. So here we go. Pathways, choosing your path, right? This is where the very first time you choose a path, this is, you have done nothing. All you've done is actually log onto the page. You've never actually gone onto Pathways, right? You choose your pathway here, and there are certain questions that they'll ask you that will determine what type of path you get. There are 11 pathways, and they all have different specialities attached to them. I only chose 3 because those are the simplest for me to explain, not necessarily because they're not important or they have no significance, but because they're simpler for me to be able to explain to somebody else. A visionary communicator is somebody who is intended to make long-term goals and has to be able to determine a way to communicate those goals. The reasoning for that is because you cannot convince someone today that in 10 years' time, you will be the greatest Toastmaster. Hence, we need visionary communicators. Innovative planning is another part. And this is more of your project management type things. You learn how to communicate a specific planning process to different individuals. And motivational strategies is another pathway. And essentially, this is because we are in a fast-paced, me type of generation and type of environment most of the time. You as a leader have to be able to get people to do things without pushing them, without forcing them. Because there's a difference between a manager and a leader. A manager does things right, but a leader does the right thing. So you never want to force people to do things. You want them to be willing to do things. Motivation is one of the things that you are taught to do things willingly. What motivates someone? So that they say, I see what you're doing and I'm willing to follow you. And that's
We've
motivation.
reached time, but I see there's 2 hands up, Barbara and Percy.
Can I take the 2 and then I'm wrapping up?
Cool.
All right. Okay. May we please keep it short and sweet?
Sure.
Barbara.
Okay. I would like to just share, go and click on Launch Your Navigator. I encourage every new Toastmaster to go and look at the navigator first. So if you click on your Launch Your Navigator, then you'll get a part where you see Pathways, Your Learning Experience. Scroll down a little bit, because there you've got all your introduction, one more, there, your Pathways Learning Experience. Here you will learn all the competencies and all the different projects within all your pathways. So it's just a little bit of useless information that I could drop in there and share.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you so much. Percy, short and sweet. Go.
No, it is my question that you just responded to, Lindokuhle, about selecting pathways and the different available pathways.
Okay. Nice.
Yes, that is my question. Thanks a lot, Lindokuhle. So I think I will get more clarity on details once I view the video and then actually log onto the Toastmasters website and then continue with the selection process of the pathways and self-registering as well.
Fantastic.
Percy, just drop your number in the chat, that we just make sure that we stay in touch with you and that you get sorted.
Yes,
Anyone else
who
who needs help as well.
Yeah. Okay, so that is it for tonight. I will be sharing the slides. And thank you so much, guys, for being so accommodative. This was my very first training, so I was a bit nervous, but I really do appreciate all the patience and leniency that I was given. And also thank you for everybody who stepped in and contributed to the process. Thank you so much. I hope you've learned a lot. Good night.
Woo-hoo.
Good night.
Well done.
Thank you so much.